Lead Talks, connecting through community. Today we have Bobbi Wilding, who is the executive director and co-founder of Clean and Healthy, which is an organization dedicated to creating a just and sustainable society in which every community and neighborhood is free of toxic chemicals. Also with her is environmental justice and health project manager, Gabrielle Gonzales. Thank you both so much for coming on the podcast.
Thanks for having us.
Do you want to tell us a little bit about your organization, what your work is, and also we can also talk about how you came to this work?
Yeah, so Clean and Healthy was founded by myself and our former executive director, Kathy Curtis, really born out of a recognition that we needed to turn off the tap on toxic chemicals flowing into our daily lives. We also recognize that there's a real legacy from things where we, in theory, turned off the tap years ago. And the most notable one for that is, of course, lead. You know, we stopped using lead in household paint in 1978, but because it's an element, right? It just sticks around, and every house that was painted before 1978 has lead paint in it, right? Or most of them, right? So it's, I think, really, for us, a reckoning of the way in which our goal to achieve justice requires addressing this legacy at the same time that we move forward with eliminating new sources of pollution and toxic chemicals.
How does your organization work alongside politicians and other lobbying groups to get the legislation that you need done?
Yeah, so I would first say that we are founded on the principle that together we win, and that collaboration is the way that we can be most effective. We get together, we talk about, what kind of priorities we need to have. We look at what bills exist and we ask, do we need to have a different law? And then we start figuring out, okay, what's the path to victory? A lot of the time we have to think about, who's going to oppose this bill. And honestly, on lead, we've been somewhat surprised by how deeply entrenched the opposition to further action on lead, particularly with paint, has been. I mean, there's really not an organ in our bodies that we haven't found lead to cause harm to, right? Like, that's a weird way to say it, but it's like It affects our entire body. Like, every time scientists look at the impact of lead on our organs, they find that our different organs are impacted negatively from lead. That's why there's no safe level of lead in our bodies. The story of lead poisoning is about childhood, right? Because of its huge impact on children's development. But it's a much bigger story than that. So we're always looking to understand how to tell that story.
The perception is one piece, because everyone has to drink water. You have to turn on your tap and use it every single day. And also the exposure of Flint, Michigan, and that whole issue. It was more of like a visible thing that people saw their dirty water and they were able to point to a source and a thing that felt more tangible. But people don't think that like you have to eat your wall paint or like that you're going to be doing these things. But it's not just that. These are high friction surfaces where the paint is turning into dust and you're breathing it in. And it's also a private space. So people think maybe you should be taking care of that. That's on your own. But these are all interlinked issues.
I think people are really feeling like the bad guy's winning. And what am I going to do? What little old me, what am I going to do? How am I going to make a difference?
Advocacy ranges from coming to the Capitol and lobbying and making it your career, but all the way down to sharing information on social media and spreading the word and connecting with your friends and building that support. And so I think really all of us are actually advocates, whether we think about it that way or not. This is work that it doesn't require any special skills. You just have to show up and talk to people. You just have to pick up the phone and call your legislator, send them an email, tag them on social media, calling them for them to do actions, right? Those are all very simple steps that people can do. The more people are doing that and sort of consistently aiming at the same thing together, of course, that makes it easier to move whatever that piece is.
What is the most challenging and what do you find the most inspiring about lobbying day?
I think the meetings can be really short and these are massive topics. Like, these are people's lives. This is how they're being impacted every single day. and being given maybe like 15 to 25 minutes, it's so hard to get every single story and everything across. There's so much that needs to be done. Sometimes just one bill isn't the fix. It's not going to be the fix. It takes a package, and that's why we usually talk about a package of bills, which also makes it harder because there's so much to say and so much to explain. And sometimes afterwards, these people aren't experts. We are bringing so much knowledge to them that they have so many questions, and it's like, oh my goodness, I want to answer all of these.
Yeah. If you had one thing to educate people on lead, what would it be?
I would say that it's not gone, right? I think that that's the big thing. And it's not gone in our homes, right? I think people are aware that it's not gone in the pipes bringing water into our homes, but it is hiding in the homes of many, many, many New Yorkers.
And the thing is, too, is that people are impacted in different ways. Like lead affects the body very differently from one person to the next. It's this very mysterious monster, that you kind of never know is going to be rearing its ugly head, where it's coming from.
Yeah, I mean, I think so. The lead paint right to know bill would require that when a property gets sold, a residential property, that the seller has to have done a test to know if and where in a home lead paint is still present, and has to both give that information to the buyer and has to file that information with the state into this registry. And so the idea is that you would start creating a map statewide of where lead paint is in residential property, so that if you had a child who tested positive, you could look at the data and say, is there lead here? We right now across the country really rely on the blood tests on babies to find out where lead is, and we use them as sort of the canaries in the coal mine to find this lurking hazard. And I really believe that we need to be acting on the sources of lead rather than waiting to find this using children's bodies for that purpose. I just want to say our understanding is that the pushback is about the way in which testing before a sale would slow down a sale and potentially lower the perceived value of the house, of the property. And they say, we don't want to have to do anything that's going to affect our profit margin and our speed of sales. How dare you? And it's really shameful that is enough to keep us from taking real action on lead poisoning prevention.
What do we need to do to inspire the younger generation to participate in their government? And what do you think are the factors that are keeping them from doing that?
I think something that's really keeping people away from being involved in the government is the distrust that has been created over time. And it's completely valid. Black and brown communities have been overlooked for an extremely long time, and they have been silenced for a long time. So it's hard to want to be involved in something that looks down on you. But I think my generation and this younger generation is so bold and so loud. I just encourage it every single time I see it. Like, whatever you're feeling, however you want to make change, do it, make it. You feel like something isn't serving you, then speak up about it. I never want to discourage anybody from any of their feelings and any of their passion, because that passion is really what's going to propel you and what's going to propel others and inspire others. So whenever people ask me what my job is, I'm so open to talking about it and like saying, get involved, like be a part of an advocacy day, call up your local legislator, be a part of a community board, like do things on the most local basic level that will build your confidence so that you can speak up and speak so confidently when you're going up against bigger people that feel just so unreachable. Because at the end of the day, they do work for you. You did put them in that spot. So say something.
I don't think there's a better way to end this. I want to thank you so much, and thank you so much for your advocacy. And I look forward to working with you guys in 2026 and passing some legislation.